It's RPW here, and this week is going to be the breeding event if you don't already know. Now, those of you that are new to War Dragons, I want to go ahead and give you a brief overview of what the breeding is, but if you want something a little more detailed, don't forget to go into my event guide playlist, and you're going to find a lot of cool videos in there that'll help you with your breeding events. Now, really quickly, like I said, if you're new, you're going to want to know a few things. If, number one, you're at purple level tier dragons or lower, you may not want to, of course, be as strict on yourself when it comes to your breeding and holding back, until the breeding event. You may want to keep one in there. If one hatches in between, not a big deal. Go ahead and start another one, because otherwise you're going to be trying to get like 4 or 5 different dragons to breedable at a time, and that is a lot of work. So I would say if you're purple or lower, don't be too stressed out about spending tokens in between. However, if you're above that purple, you're at least in green or whatever, then I would save back every single token you have between breeding event to a breeding event, because they will be every month and they will be worth points. So every time you spend tokens, you will earn points. Now, with this event, you need to spend a lot of tokens. Unfortunately, I don't think it's like the other events. There's so many resources needed in order to make those points, but yet these are like the hardest to attain. So hold them back. Now, if you are having yourself getting mystic fragments, I suggest, if you can hold yourself back even further, waiting until you're at least in gold before you even use those. I get it, if you're very close to your next point achievement, you might want to use a few, but I would hold them back as much as possible. Now, with that being said, I hope everybody has their dragons to breedable, because the event will begin this Wednesday. And also this Wednesday, for those of you that are fortunate enough to be on the other end of the spectrum, Vanguard Mythic Dragons will be released this week. So I'm going to bring in a small amount of scoop for everybody, which is the Mythic Dragons that are coming. Now, one of these actually says Legendary on the information I have, so I don't know if that's a hiccup or not, but I'm not going to go into too great of detail. If you guys want to see more, then you can check out the War Dragons website. All right, so if those of you that love sorcerers, you will love this beautiful, beautiful dragon. Look at that long tail on this serpent. Now, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name on this for you guys, but I will tell you that she is known as the World Serpent, and she's a legendary ice sorcerer. Now, her spells will come with Tidal Surge, which is white, 1 rage, Flash Freeze, which is red, 2 rage, the Magic Barrier, which is white, 0 rage, and the Elemental Resist, which is a passive yellow. And then, of course, the next dragon is known as the Mythic Earth Hunter Itzani, I believe, and her spells are the Shadow Strike, white, 2 rage, Desolating Sand, the Bloodlust, 1 rage blue spell, and the Undying Will, which is passive yellow. And guys, if you want any specifics on any of the spells that I'm saying, this is just me giving you a brief overview of them, then you can always go to wardragons.com and get all the nitty-gritty details on this, as well as the forums, because all that information should be released today. Now, the last dragon on this list is known as, I'm thinking, Oni, and he is a Mythic Fire Warrior. Now, this beastly little thing is going to come with the Ferocious Shield, which is a white 1 rage spell, the Blood Fury, which is a blue 1 rage spell, and then the Derisive Shriek, Derisive Shriek, which is a white 2 rage spell, and then a Elemental Resist, which is a passive yellow spell. So again, if you guys want any details on this information, don't forget to jump on over to the blog site over at wardragons.com, or you can even jump into the forums to get all the nitty-gritty details. And then, of course, being that today's Tuesday, I would say tomorrow and Thursday and maybe even Friday, they'll probably actually have some of this, of these dragons on their live stream for War Dragons. So if you don't know about their live streams, they are actually on YouTube. They also have it on Facebook, and they also have a live stream on Twitch, and every week they do one, day by day in different locations. I'm thinking it's like Wednesdays is Twitch, Thursdays is Facebook, and then Fridays is YouTube. So be sure to go find them on all those platforms so you can follow them, and you'll find all the information on there. And they usually actually send out an email before they go live with a link in your game, so you can always check that out that way as well. All right, guys, pretty exciting news this week. We also have changes coming to War Dragons and the progression whenever it comes to breeding your dragons. And I want to personally thank Red Delilah for her heading this awareness and everyone that was willing to back her in this situation, because it seems to have brought a change much faster than I expected, because I believe it was like a November time frame. But no, guys, it is actually coming this Wednesday. If you don't already know about this, you really need to hop over to the forums. If you don't use forums, then you really should. It's really easy. You just go to forums.wardragons.com and you log in with your in-game name and password, just like you were going into the game itself. Now let's go ahead and hop over there real quick and go over the changes that are coming. Now, if you'll notice, and when we first go in here, it says that in recent months, they're noticing that the community has been speaking up, and that we are right. The community is right that, there needs to be changes when it comes to these dragons. Now, please note, if you have passed the dragons we're about to talk about, the tiers we're about to talk about, you are not going to get payback for something you may have spent on these dragons before, because as they argue, back in the day, these were the top dragons, so of course they would have been expensive. Unfortunately, they really should have died these down much sooner, I think. All right, so going through the tier discount basic details here. So the following tiers will be discounted. I don't think this includes anything outside of it, because they did include a list tier, which is the Obsidian tier at 10%, the Emerald tier at 20%, the Garnet and Sapphire both at 30%. And this means that they're going to be that much less. Now, if you go through and read the details, it doesn't mean that it's going to be less fragments per dragon or per egg that you breed, but it's actually going to be cheaper when it comes to the tokens themselves. That's the way I'm reading it. I could be wrong. Now, please note that whenever you're doing crossbreeding, like you're coming back and breeding something like, let's say you're breeding Apophet and you're using something out of the Emerald in order to breed him, and then one in the Sapphire, you're may not get the full 30%. You may only get the 20% right there in the middle. Now, the dragon training and leveling, they recognize, I should say, that it's not just in the dragon breeding, but it's also in leveling. And they're basically going to match that when it comes to the progression of these things. So you're going to see, like as they said, like a 30%, around 30% when it comes to some of your dragons in the amount of XP that they need. Now, the research hall and egg times required, they realized that this is also something else that needed to be changed up. So they're also going to impact this as well. So very cool stuff indeed. Now, the tower and building time is also changing, because they said, look, if the progression of you growing with your dragons is changing, then so should your towers. Now, there are some people that are pretty upset about this, because they think this is going to mess them over in the fortification events. However, I don't understand how that is the case. I don't think it would be, because for me, for example, if you go to Walmart and you buy, apples at $1 a piece, and they're usually $1 a piece, and you buy 4 of them for $4, then you turn around and you buy $4 worth the next day, and they're $1/4 a piece. You're getting more apples, but you're still spending the same amount of money. And I think it's going to be the same thing with this. Okay, granted, you won't need as much lumber to upgrade something, but in the end, that just means one extra building to upgrade, basically. Now, with that being said, those to be affected will be tower levels from 41 to 45 will be reduced by 30% of the resources and your timer costs. And then tower levels 46 through 50 at 20, and then 51 through 55 at 10%. Now, this is, of course, to help balance out the fact that they've brought in some much higher level things. So with that being said, let's talk about this real quick. What does this mean? Well, this just simply means that they're doing a balancing act. So this way, in the end, you're going to be spending less tokens in order to get your dragons. Now, one of the things you must notice, and I don't know for sure exactly what the answer is on this until it comes up, because it's not very clear, is I'm pretty sure it's saying that it's going to be the same amount of egg fragments in order to breed a dragon. For example, if one usually takes 400, it's not going to be reduced by 30%, but the amount of tokens that it takes to fill it will, however, be reduced. So mystic fragments will still be the same cost on that dragon. Okay, so this past Friday, we actually had our first episode of Let's Talk Dragons. I don't know if this is going to be weekly or what just yet, but I do want to let everyone know, if you have anything you want to promote, whether it's your team or you have any awesome information or tips or anything that you want to give to the community, including, sharing your channel or your websites that help, or even if it's not even War Dragon related, but it's maybe related to dragons, like maybe you make t-shirts with dragons on it, you're an artist or whatever, and you would like a spot here with me, then hurry up and get with me before these spots fill up, because I'm actually scheduling all of those episodes up to the end of the season now. And it is literally just a fun conversation live that I record. I record it live, and then of course I plop it into a video for everyone to hear, because I think everybody wants to know what everybody else is thinking and talking about when it comes to this game. So I think it's a great way to put that out there. All right, so again, if you need to get a hold of me and set this up, you can reach me on my line account, which is the same as my name, royalpaynewife, but it's all small letters. Anyways, cannot believe that it's already been almost an entire season that my team has been in the Atlas, as well as many other platinum teams that were joined in. Now, if you're in a platinum team right now, I know that there's a lot of platinum teams that are in the same league as me that are very confused as to why they don't have Atlas, but other teams do. Now, they released it out to Platinum League teams, but you actually had to be on a league at the time. You're not going to lose Atlas if you drop into gold, and you're not going to gain it if you jump up into Platinum. My guess is because of that, they will be doing another expansion, but there is no word of that. There isn't even really any real rumors that really circulate that. But however, if you do have Atlas, you've got 2 more weeks to collect Swan. And Swan is not as pretty as a writer as she is on her portrait. I'll tell you right. She looks like a very homely man as her writer. I don't understand it. But anyways, her portrait is absolutely beautiful. So if you want this writer, then you're going to have to go attain it. Now, you have to get all of the blue shards. You don't just get to hire it when you get a few blue shards, unlike with the seasons where you can hire and then you level it up. With this writer, you have to get all the shards, which are the blue writer shards, to hire it, and then you're going to have to actually go out and earn glory on it in order to level it up. So it is going to be a lot of work. However, the goodies that you get along the way are really awesome. Now, this week we're actually having event guide videos for Atlas return. I'm sorry, event guide, listen to me. Atlas guide videos returning here on my channel beginning this week, and I'm going to let you know why you might want to do your glory hunting, how to do it in the best way, and so forth. So be sure to check back later this week and the weeks upcoming for more Atlas information. Now, of course, this is the last week in order to get Portia. Now, before we go through this and talk about Portia, let me tell you what happened to me and my little experience with the Portia situation. Now, I saw that they added the gear that they changed it from rare to epic, but I really didn't have time to really read through the information. And at the end of the night, I was talking to one of the players. I was like, yay, I just finished, the first, I said I just finished Portia. Now I can get her trained up. And they said, oh, wow, you've already got both pages? I was like, well, no, I'm not getting the gear. And they're like, you do know what happened, right? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? So I go back and I look, and I see that they mixed the gear. So I'm like, okay. I go back to the forums, I read all the information again, and that's when I realized what had happened. So with Portia, there was a lot of people asking that we get better gear than rare. Because, why would we want to go get the gear if you're an Atlas and it's only the rare, but yet you want the goodies along the way, So they, of course, upped it to epic, and there's a lot of people that know this. However, there's a lot of players I've talked to since this, they don't understand that you can actually level up this gear. So you're going to be able to get epic gear that levels up. And to give you an example, a contrast is like Tannock, for example, comes with rare gear and it doesn't level up. So at first I was like, wait, what? But now I'm like, wait, what? That's pretty cool. The reason is because for me, to get legendary gear, yeah, guys, legendary gear is almost impossible for me. I'm usually number 1 in almost every single one of these gear events, and I have gotten 1 flippin' legendary. 90% of the time, I'm getting rare or getting common stuff. So it's like, for me, this is probably a little bit better. Now, this all depends on you and what your luck is when it comes to this gear. But this is pretty cool in that retrospect. Also, the fact that anybody that's not in Atlas currently are going to be able to get this at now epic instead of rare, which is really cool for them. And then on top of that, they're going to be able to, of course, begin leveling up gear the moment they get Atlas. So that's pretty cool. However, if you are very upset by this and you don't want this dragon, this rider, I suggest you still, while it's on discount, get this rider to level 1 and then tune back into my video later this week so that you can see why. This is serious reason why, and I think you guys are going to love this little tip / trick that you're going to be able to use in Atlas with that rider. So be sure to check back later this week for that. And again, I mean, you're talking a couple hundred sigils, get the thing to level 1, just enough to hire it, put it on a dragon, and we'll go from there. And I'll explain to you why later on this week. So be sure to check back on that. Okay, so of course, this is probably the reason why most of you actually tune in, is because it's a weekly giveaway announcement. So we are actually going to be doing another in-game giveaway this week, except this time you're going to put your in-game name, hashtag, and what dragon you will be breeding first. So you don't have to put all the dragons you plan on breeding, but what's the dragon you're going to jump into and start clicking that breed button on? I know for me, it's actually going to probably be, drumroll please, a Nappa. So I finally decided to go backwards. I'm going to get a Nappa, and then I'm going to go into Apophet, and then I will be working my way on up to Jewel, and then hopefully, if I play my cards right and I grind out my missions, I will actually be, because this is actually backbreeding for me, I'll actually be going into my Emerald come next breeding. So I'm pretty excited about that because of that. Now, when it comes to this past event, I really enjoyed it because I did make the 4 million marker, and of course, I'm not one about the 4 million going past the 700 and some thousand unless it's literally for lumber upgrades only. But I got to do a lot of lumber upgrades, and I only climbed like 15 levels, so I'm now like a 230. And that I can handle. I can handle that, especially considering coming very soon, I'll actually be a lot stronger in my dragon. So I'm going to be pretty balanced, I think, in the coming months. I'm pretty excited about that specifically. But I hope you guys enjoyed your fortification event and that you got to do everything you wanted to do. I know that there has been a lot of grief on some of the lower league teams, like in gold and so forth leagues, people underneath of Atlas. If you'll go ahead and comment in the video below and let me know how that seems to be affecting you, let's kind of just get a discussion started on that. You know, do you think it's an Atlas situation? Is it because you weren't able to play much? You know, what is it that you struggled with? And maybe we can either face a future video on helping this, or maybe we can bring some awareness to the War Dragons, you know, the people that run War Dragons. So maybe we can make some changes. But again, guys, I have this sneaky suspicion, even though I don't know, I've not heard anything, it's not through the grapevine, that Atlas will be expanding probably to everyone. So anyways, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoy your breeding event, and I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share this video.